Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update.
Welcome to Industry Insight, where we unpack the business decisions behind emerging technology, talent, and transformation across Asia. Now, AI and cloud are no longer the future. They're the tools driving growth, agility, and competitive edge right now. But what does real transformation look like when you're inside the boardroom, not just reading the headlines? How can businesses make the most effective use of these big investments? Joining us live in the studio today is Miriam McLemore, Director of Enterprise Strategy at AWS and a former global CIO of the Coca-Cola Company. Now, Miriam brings a rare combination of platform-level visibility and deep enterprise leadership. Miriam, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Really looking forward to exploring what it really takes to scale AI and cloud effectively, from leadership structure to cultural readiness, as well as execution. Let's start with a reality check. From your seat advising enterprise leaders across industries, what's the most misunderstood challenge companies face when they try to scale AI?
You know, the biggest thing that I have seen in talking to customers is they have to reimagine how work gets done. So often we try to apply tools to the way we operate today and try to create efficiencies in the way that we're working. But the true opportunity of artificial intelligence is to reimagine work and to do things differently. And that's hard, right? It's hard when you've been doing something the same way, when your processes are tuned for a certain approach, to let that go and allow yourself to reimagine.
Okay, so it's not about having a model or an innovation lab. It's also about reimagining, like you mentioned. It's about alignment, operational readiness, I would think. So
Absolutely.
Would you say this is more challenging, in terms of mindset or structure?
I think it is because, we've always talked about people, process, and technology. Now, with AI, you also have to add data, but you really have to act on all of those levers. The technology is not really the most challenging part. It's understanding and having a clear, aligned strategy of what you're trying to do. What business value can you drive for your specific industry, business, section of the business even?
So where do leaders most often misjudge the complexity?
I think sometimes leaders will leave it with IT only, and this is not an IT-only capability. Certainly, there are productivity tools like we have with QDeveloper that can help IT, but this is a full business opportunity, and so it requires that the executive team become engaged. And to do that, they need some education, and so that they can properly understand what parts of the business can be the most effectively impacted, leveraging this new capability.
Very true. Through my conversations with many tech leaders on this show, they say this to me: success in AI isn't just about tech alone. So from your vantage point, what are the signs that a company is culturally ready or not ready to use AI meaningfully?
Well, they have that leadership engagement. Often today, I'm being asked to go speak to boards, to C-suites, just to explain where we are, what questions they should be asking, what opportunities they should be considering. And we at AWS have done a lot of work in providing education for executives as well as developers and people in between, so that we can grow skills. Specifically in Singapore, we have made a commitment of training individuals, 5,000 per year last year, this year, and in 26, to make sure that the skills come up. Because until you understand and have the mindset of what's possible, it's hard to set a strategy that makes sense for your organization. But that, I think, is the starting challenge, is leadership needs to be engaged. You can't just leave this to the IT function to try to create value without that.
Okay. And when you see resistance or inertia, is it typically about fear, structure, or just perhaps misalignment of priorities?
I think it's all the things. There is some fear that maybe this AI solution is going to take my job. And what I love about Singapore is this constant investment in learning, right? And this belief that we need to lean in. That's very much an Amazon principle, that you should always be leaning in to what's new and being willing to be uncomfortable. But fear is real for individuals, and so that needs to be addressed. Then it certainly can be processes that limit people from acting the way they would like to act, but they're blocked by whether it's a financial process or a contract process or the silos between functions in an organization that, that's yours, not mine. This is my data, not your data. And that, one of the signs you were asking of companies that are culturally ready is they're looking at data as a organizational asset, not as a functional, ownership. It's something that we as an organization are going to use to move forward. Trust Bank is a great example of that, a digitally native bank that, created autonomous teams and empowered them to build products more quickly by giving them decision rights. But that means the ability to leverage the technology and leverage the data and get processes that are blockers out of the way.
Very interesting. Miriam, you're an enterprise strategist with AWS. So let's talk about cloud. Many still view cloud as a cost or compliance decision. What's the real strategic value cloud native companies are unlocking right now?
They have this ability to test and learn and to be agile. And one of the things I personally love about generative AI and the interest and excitement around AI is it pulls cloud forward, because you have to have that foundation in place to be able to use AI to integrate your data, to move at speed, to experiment quickly. Because, in the old model, it was a slow process to getting the right equipment in place to try experimentation. Cloud enables immediate experimentation at much lower cost. And that's the world we're in. We need to learn by doing. And cloud enables that.
Okay, so you're saying cloud isn't just about removing friction, it's about embedding speed, velocity into the business model?
Yes. Flexibility, agility. That's in today's world, which is changing so quickly. Technology is changing. Our landscapes are changing. And so cloud sets business up to be agile, to make new decisions, to pivot.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that. Can you share an example, perhaps, where cloud adoption directly shifted business outcomes, not just operations?
Yeah, I love all the stories that we have about cloud adoption, but particularly I was talking to a company called Mahindra & Mahindra. They are a supply parts company. Okay. And they were able to reimagine their supply chain through their distribution centers. They have over 100,000 different SKUs, 21 distribution centers. And they were able to do better forecasting, on-demand resupply, and be able to manage inventory much more effectively by being in the cloud and leveraging AI technologies. So, that's just a regional example. I've spent time with Korean Airlines, who has done some incredible work with AWS in their adoption of cloud first and then as a personalization capability for the airline.
Okay. No, you were talking about speed in terms of cloud. We're hearing more about decision velocity these days. So from what you've seen, how are the most agile companies designing their tech stacks and teams to speed up execution?
It really does require an integrated skill set, right? It is the times of, this team does the network and this team does the infrastructure and this team does development are gone. Cloud requires that teams come together, and our recommendation is that you empower those teams to act quickly because we learn and iterate in this world much more effectively when the teams are smaller and have a clear line of sight to what they are trying to accomplish, what the objective is, and they can judge whether they're on course or, self-correct and move forward quickly.
Clear being the operative word. I imagine that it also demands a different kind of leadership muscle, not just faster decisions, but clearer ones as well.
Absolutely.
Are there common bottlenecks in governance or cross-functional coordination that could slow this down?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot, it's big enterprises, and I worked in a very large enterprise. You put in these processes for all good reasons, but I think management loses sight of how those processes create stops in the process. And people have become accustomed to waiting for a steering committee or waiting for an approval or waiting for, the legal review or the security review or the, pick the reviewer. And so, unfortunately, that you're sacrificing speed, you're sacrificing your ability to actually iterate quickly. And so that's this back to pulling these teams out of that process and try it. Try it with a small team, try a couple of teams, learn. See what works for your organization and see what you need to change so that your governance is fit for purpose, not just how we've always done it.
Wow. It's a whole new way of doing things. Let's get practical. If you had 30 minutes, that's a long time, with a CEO looking to launch AI initiatives this year, what 3 things would you tell them to get right from day one?
It's interesting. I'm in town this week for our AWS Summit in Singapore, and I will be speaking at the executive event. And I'm talking about 3 things. And the first is to elevate your thinking, get out of that bureaucracy. Our bureaucracy as large enterprises grows. There's a law called Parkinson's Law says that it grows 5 to 7% a year if left unchecked. Just because we grow, it grows with us. So it's that overhead and bureaucracy. So unwind that. You've got to address it. Second is to invest in your team, to energize your team. Give them the skills, give them the training, give them the opportunity to create and be curious and to own outcomes. And then third is, as a leader, you need to set a bold vision. If there's not a clear vision, then the team's going to experiment, but it may not go anywhere very far. So those are the 3 things. Address bureaucracy, engage your team and give them the skills and tools they need, and set a vision so that you can move quickly.
That's a big one. It takes a lot of courage, I would imagine.
It does.
Now, looking ahead, what shifts in organizational culture will determine who thrives with AI and cloud and who gets left behind?
It is those companies that have an aligned strategy that the executives agree with, that are clear on the business outcomes that they're trying to drive, and that empower their teams with the skills and ability to do that. And they listen to the concerns that their organization has, whether it's from model hallucinations and things that need to be addressed and we need to listen to. So this is a great learning journey, and one of the things I love about being in Singapore is this community comes together and shares ideas and thoughts to make everyone rise to the next level. And so that's what we need, because this is new. It's new for everybody. So we're in it together, and we can make some great things happen together.
On that note, Miriam, we're just going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for your insights today. Sounds to me that whether you're a CIO, a business leader, or a policy shaper, the message is quite clear. Cloud and AI can give you speed, but only if your organization is ready to harness that speed across teams, culture, and leadership. Thank you so much for your time today, Miriam.
Thank you for having me.
And she is Miriam McElmore, Director of Enterprise Strategy at AWS.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.